Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott,
And I'm Ben, and I feel like total shit.
and my voice is gone because I went to the Mariners game last night and they decided to actually play baseball and make me scream loudly in excitement. So here we are.
Yeah, sports. Sports are fun.
Sports ball. Anyway, we actually nailed that intro like pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
We had to restart our recording. But anyway, Viper the Red wanted us to continue our microtransactions rant, so that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But on the brighter side of microtransactions, before we get into what makes us angry about microtransactions, is that Blizzard just made some changes to their two franchises that have microtransactions. I don't know if any of the other ones do. But Hearthstone and
WoW might, but I think that's it.
yeah, well, but I don't know. It might not, because I think they're only subscription.
Oh,
But anyway,
there's okay.
Hearthstone and Overwatch, their microtransaction system is surprisingly similar to each other, in that you can purchase packs, card packs in Hearthstone, and you can purchase loot boxes, and then you open them, and then you get stuff out of them.
Yes.
And both games, they've lowered the amount of duplicates that you'll get. I don't know Hearthstone's exact wording. You can fill me in on that. But Hearthstone is never... So one of the big problems was that, like, you are guaranteed a legendary card, which is the rarest card, once every, like, 30-ish packs.
Uh-huh.
But you sometimes got a duplicate, and that didn't feel good. So so no duplicate legendaries. And also, like, one of the worst things to ever do is to be like, okay, I'm going to craft this legendary and then open it in the next pack, right?
Yeah.
So they're cutting out the chance of that happening, and they're also making it so that you will not open unless there's no other options. Like you have a complete set filled out or whatever. You will not open more cards that can fit into a deck. So maximum of 2 cards for normal cards, and then legendaries you will only get the 1.
Gotcha.
So that's gonna make building out your collection and finding the cards that you actually want so much easier, especially for newer players. Because there are some cards that I have like 12 copies of, and it's like, great.
I mean, you can, like, break them down into dust or whatever, right?
Yeah, you can break them down, but, like, it is just one of those things where I would rather have another card.
Gotcha.
But yeah, because like with this new system, that would fill out my collection by another like 6 cards or whatever, 5 cards, math.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really know the exact, like, phrasing and everything that they used for the Overwatch loot boxes. I only just caught it by watching like updates from, you know, popular Overwatch YouTubers and streamers and that kind of thing. But I mean, my understanding is that it pretty much kind of functions the same way, that they just drastically reduce the chances of getting duplicates, which is great because I can't quite remember what rank I am, but I don't have, like, I have at most, I think maybe 30 of the 70 plus collectible items for each character. Like, the number of items I have on my highest collected character or whatever is, you know, 30 or something like that. And at that point, like, I still will always get at least 1 duplicate, and I would sometimes get 3 or maybe even all 4 items as duplicates, which was super fucking frustrating.
yeah,
Because, I mean, it's like there are all these items that you could be giving me, and you're giving me the same one that I already have, and giving me chump change for it. So, you know, that always kind of sucked. But
Yeah.
they're fixing that. And like that's great and everything, but if you ask me, it never should have been an issue to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I understand why you want to allow duplicates, but the entire point of any sort of like loot box system is to make opening them feel good. Mm-hmm. Like, as a player, you should never sit there and get to a point where you're like, well, this is probably going to be another box of trash.
Yeah. Before we continue, I looked up what they said about it, and the important thing to know is when you get a duplicate, you automatically get coins out of it, instead of the duplicate card. So it's like an automatic scrapping thing. But so it's drastically reducing it, and he didn't say, or they didn't give an exact number, but it's the adjustment is significant enough that it will be immediately evident. So that will be good. And then also, but they're also going to increase the amount of coins or credits that you get.
Yeah.
So that it will stay about the same in terms of credits that you get.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, yeah, like I said, it was always just super frustrating. Because I mean, especially since there are a lot of skins that I don't have that, I can't get because I just keep getting screwed over. And it's like I could buy it with the currency and everything, but that is always nice to kind of save up for the seasonal events so that you can be like, oh, I want this skin.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it instead of chancing it. And I can only hope that this means that going forward, when I play the seasonal events, and I'm lucky enough to get a skin or something, that it's not the same one 4 fucking times in a row.
Yeah, I would imagine that this is going to extend to seasonal ones as well.
I would hope so. Because I know that, let's see, it was the Christmas event. I really wanted the Tracer skin for obvious reasons. I primarily play Tracer.
Yeah.
But instead, I got the May skin. And I also got the May skin. So even though I ended up, getting like 3, maybe even 4 different legendary skin drops, I got the May skin every single time.
Because you really want to play May, Ben.
Right, yes.
Duh. I mean, come on. Everyone wants to play May, including Tracer mains.
Yeah. And
like,
I mean,
the May is in the main's thing, right? So like every main character really wants to be playing May.
Get out.
No.
Yes.
You know it.
Just leave.
Anyway, so I think you hit on a good point though earlier when you said that it just didn't feel good. And that's the point of the loot boxes, even from like a business standpoint, right? Because if opening the loot box or card pack or whatever the case may be doesn't feel good, then no one's going to want to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think that like as a gamer, you obviously want it to feel rewarded for any money or any time investment that you put in the game. And you've been complaining about this since like at least 3 months ago, right? Like
at least
for Overwatch. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a good change, and I think it's almost like morally required for Blizzard in a way. Like, I don't think that's the right word, but like, it just seems that when you put all this time into the game, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna screw you over by giving you duplicates for your time investment.
Yeah,
like it's asking too much of the player for too little.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that I haven't played Overwatch in a little while because I've been focusing on burning down a lot of the single player games that I have that are piling up. But I know that the last like 2 or 3 loot boxes that I've opened have all been duplicates. Not even just like a couple of them. Like it's literally been all of them. Even I think I got like a legendary and an epic skin once, and they were still all duplicates.
Yeah, I think I'm like level 28 or something. So like I've opened maybe like 50 loot boxes in that time, like at most, and I get at least 1 or 2 duplicates a pack.
Yeah,
It's just stupid.
yeah. I mean, especially for someone as low of a rank as what you are.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, like, you obviously wouldn't have any semblance of a collection built up at all.
Yeah, I
you
don't
shouldn't
really
even kind of be getting duplicates.
Yeah. But anyway, so good on Blizzard for making this change. You know, obviously we probably could have been made sooner, but you know, whatever. Good for them in the long run.
Yeah.
I do, and then before again, one more thing, like small thing before we get into my real ranting. Modern Warfare standalone is actually coming. The remake, remastered. It'll be $40, and you'll get the remastered game. There's still the $15 variety map pack that you have to get as DLC. And we looked it up, and I want to clarify something from the last podcast, or maybe not the last one, but whatever, where we talked about this. There's actually going to be 4 maps in the $15 instead of the 3 maps that we originally thought. So it's slightly less ridiculous. Slightly.
No.
It should still be included in the base game. Like the base $40.
Yeah.
But it's slightly less ridiculous. Like ever so slightly. Anyway.
I don't think so. I mean, even if that 4th map was created from scratch, I don't think it's slightly less ridiculous.
Well, I mean,
I think it's the exact same level of ridiculousness in the sense that just simply, like, you shouldn't be charging for that at all.
Yeah.
Like, you just should not. Because, it's not... First of all, Activision isn't hurting for money. Mm-hmm. Like, they literally own so many of the largest and best-selling franchises in gaming history.
Yeah.
And to add to that, you know, you have other companies out there like Microsoft who release, you know, the Master Chief Collection, and it comes with all of the DLC.
Yeah.
Like, will never be a world where you can tell me that if I, you know, whether I'm getting it with the Infinite Warfare or whatever, or if I'm buying it standalone, since that's going to be an option now, there's never going to be a world where you can sit there and tell me that $40 is an acceptable price for a remastered game. Oh, but then give us $15 in order to get the full experience.
Yeah. Because
when Microsoft is over there and they're like, hey guys, fucking 5 games, all the DLC, $60.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess it was 4 games when it launched, but still.
Then they gave ODST as a apologetic ODST gift.
Yeah.
To be fair, presumably the Modern Warfare remake is going to work better than the Master Chief Collection did at launch. Presumably. Couldn't really do much worse.
Sure, but I feel like at that point we're arguing semantics.
Yeah.
Like, because the point of the argument is to be focusing on the DLC. And you should never, as a game company, be like, we're going to just kind of bump up the resolution on this a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, redo the textures some, and then boom, sell it. And then charge people for the DLC. It should be included. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah. I mean, and like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't saying that like it was fine. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
there was a little more value to the $15 than originally
sure.
Anyway, microtransactions.
I mean, I feel like we're already talking about that, because I do also want to say that they definitely shouldn't be charging for that if they're also going to be doing, like, cosmetic loot boxy shit that you can buy with real money.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's one or the other in that situation.
Yeah, definitely in that situation, it needs to be one or the other. Because again, like you said, I completely agree with you that the content should be there because it was already made. Like, the point of a remastered is like you're playing the original game, and the DLC is a part of the original game. And especially for like, maybe like there are gamers who could afford the original game but couldn't buy the 30 or 40. I forget how many map packs there were. I think there were 2 or 3, but like an extra like $30 or $40. Or like up to $30, I guess, because they were $10 map packs. They just couldn't afford them, so like maybe they just never got to play those maps. So they're like thinking, "Oh man, remastered! I'm gonna get to play all the maps that I missed out on in this game that I loved." And people loved the original Modern Warfare a lot. Yeah. It's to this day, it's my favorite Call of Duty game because it was just like it was more balanced and less ridiculous.
I'm doing air quotes for you.
It was less ridiculous. Like, it was...
What was it, that one or Modern Warfare 2 that did the Akimbo 1887 shotguns?
That was Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, okay.
Modern Warfare 1, the most ridiculous...
Did they even have Akimbo?
No.
Oh, okay. Then yes, I agree.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the Akimbo 1887s were like 2 like pump action shotguns that you dual wielded. You were like,
no, they were lever action, so you'd like flip them.
Yeah,
because that makes sense apparently.
Yeah, I think that was Modern Warfare 2. That might have been a different. I think that was Modern Warfare 2. But anyway, yeah, Modern Warfare 1. It was simple. Like the kill streaks were all the same for everyone. Like there was no like tactical nuke and EMP and shit. It was just like UAV. They, lit up everyone on the map for you, which was at 3 kills. Everyone had it. 5 was airstrike, where you like hit a spot on the map and an airstrike happened, and you would usually get a kill or 2. And then helicopter at 7, which was a little overpowered, but also like you could take it down if you planned for it. Like it was a pretty balanced game. It was fun. Like
yeah.
But anyway, so like
it was definitely the idea of remasters. The most.
What?
I was just saying it's definitely the Call of Duty that I played the most.
Yeah, and I mean like the point of remasters, right, is that you're supposed to go in and then like just have nostalgia. Yeah. It's not about nickel and diming people, and like I feel like like you said, the Master Chief Collection did a really good job with it because it's basically like here are the games for $60, and like $60 is a little high for a remake, but because there were 4 games in it,
yeah,
that like that's
4 games in like a unified experience.
Yeah,
like you didn't have to like, oh well, I want to play this one now. Close this game, open up the other one.
Yeah, it was all like it was super simple, super just like here you go. The Gears of War remake was really good. Because like they like not only did they like redo all the textures and everything, they even like redid some of the cinematics to update them and everything. And they gave you all the DLC maps. And like it was just that was good. The Age of Empires 2 remake, like the HD remake, is surprisingly good. Surprisingly helpful too, having it in 1920 by 1080.
Yeah. And aren't they making another one?
What?
Like, did you miss that at E3? They're like making another remake of it, but this one is like, I guess, a full proper remake and not just like a it's now HD type of thing.
I missed this at E3.
Oh, yeah. You look that up after we're done with podcast.
Okay. I'll do that. But anyway, yeah, I don't mind the microtransactions in Modern Warfare. Like, ignoring the DLC, I don't mind it. For really any title, because it's really just as long as if it's cosmetic, it's just saying like, hey, if you want to support us, you can.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine to me. And there are people who get upset about that and say like, oh, well, I paid full price for this game and I deserve to just have all this stuff. And that like can be a valid argument if there's not enough content to begin with. Right? Like if you're just if they were like, look, there are no gun skins unless you pay for them. Like that would be probably unacceptable.
Yeah. I mean,
but really what it is like, from what I understand of the game, is that you can still earn them through challenges just like in the original, or you can just buy them, and then like that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah,
like it doesn't affect me in any way.
Yeah, when it comes to microtransactions, like you said, I feel like they're acceptable so long as developers are able to create a way that players can get those same items without spending any money.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a little different for different game genres. Like I feel like MMOs get a little bit more leniency. You know, like with Guild Wars 2 or the Elder Scrolls Online, where you pay a base price, but then there is no monthly fee.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those games offering like experience boosters and like skill resets and that kind of thing, like that's completely different, and that's okay still, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, for games like Overwatch and everything, I feel like you have to offer a way to freely earn those loot boxes or whatever they're called, at a rate that is proportional to the number of items possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because Overwatch used to be really stingy with its loot crates. Like, it used to be the only way you could get them was to buy them, or one per level.
Yeah.
And now they have like one per level, plus you can get up to 3 extra ones per week for playing in the arcade mode.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a great way to balance it out.
Yeah.
And especially considering how many different cosmetic options they have in that game, it makes sense to have, you know, multiple avenues of earning free loot boxes. But yeah, I mean, microtransactions don't super bother me in most cases.
Yeah.
I do feel like there are some games out there that kind of seem to go a little overkill. And I don't want to like call anything out specifically, just because the games I'm thinking of, I personally haven't spent a whole lot of time with. So I don't really feel like my opinion is valid. But yeah, I don't know. Microtransactions as a whole, like I've said before, are kind of like a necessary evil of the gaming industry. You know, that and paid DLC, because game development is expensive. You know, I've said before that even if you have like just a small, or not small, but like a medium-sized studio of like, you know, 500 people or something like that, even if we're just talking about salary and we're talking about, you know, like paying everybody from, you know, the president to the janitor, only paying them $15 an hour. Like, that means that you're talking about almost $16 million a year in just salary. And obviously, like, when it comes to game development and everything, not everybody is going to be taking a salary that low. So, like, you can expect that number to be exponentially higher.
And there's a lot of games now that like Gears, Halo 5 is doing it, Battlefront, Titanfall, like those are all games that are either doing it or not doing paid DLC anymore. They're literally like, oh well, I guess Gears has paid DLC, like if you want to play private matches on the maps, but like all the maps are publicly available to use in matchmaking, which is great. But like the reason why that works is because of the microtransactions, where people spend money on stuff and that pays for the development of the maps for basically everyone. So if you want to increase your experience, you're increasing everyone's experience as well, which I think is kind of the idea behind microtransactions.
Yeah.
And I actually I have a few rules that I've developed over the year that I feel like developers should follow when implementing microtransactions. And I want to say, if it's a free to play game, I don't care what your microtransactions are. They could be the most ridiculous, almost literally pay to win. I don't care, as long as if you're upfront about it, where it's all the stuff that you can purchase is right there. It's not like you get to you grind up to level 30 in League of Legends and all of a sudden it's well, if you want to do this, you're gonna have to pay money.
Yeah.
As long as if you're upfront about it, there's nothing wrong with whatever microtransaction policies there are, because it's free to play. You can test it out, see if you want to spend money on it, basically.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine to me. But when it comes to, a full $60 title, or really any title that you pay money for up front, I think that you have to do it in a very ethical way, where nothing that you buy is required in order to do better. That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There should be no advantage given to you over anyone else. And that even I thought about it in Deus Ex, with whatever their microtransaction thing is for a single player game. It should not make getting achievements easier. Because even though no one really cares about achievements anymore.
Sure.
It's
but I
still
mean that's for some people a primary driving factor in a single player game.
Yeah.
And I mean, to that extent, with Deus Ex, you can buy praxis kits. I think you can buy other things too. But the big thing is you can buy a praxis kit, and that is essentially a skill point. So with that, with what you said being the case, does that mean that you think that Deus Ex's microtransactions are kind of shitty? Because I mean, realistically, if you just upfront load up your character with all the skills in the world, it's going to make the game a breeze.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what the achievements are at that point. Actually, yeah. I mean, it's shitty. In terms, it should be if you spend the money to do that, then it blocks your ability to earn achievements during that playthrough or whatever.
But then, is that really fair?
I don't know. Or actually, no. I had an idea. There's an idea for sports where if you set a record, but there's a question of whether or not your record was done naturally or with performance enhancing drugs, you put an asterisk on it in the record books, where it's well, Barry Bonds, he hit 755, or no, that's Hank Aaron's number. He hit a bunch of home runs.
Yeah.
But he clearly took steroids. So we're going to put an asterisk there to denote that not really.
Yeah.
So maybe something like that, where if you do purchase microtransaction, it puts a dollar sign there, you paid for this achievement.
Yeah,
something like that, maybe. I don't know it.
I mean, I feel like the real thing is you just shouldn't be allowed to effectively sell progression unless, again, we're talking about an MMO or something like that, where it makes a little more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, in MMOs, because sometimes you're leveling an alternate character and you don't want to go through all this shitty grind, so you're all right, well, if I pay $10, I can get through it twice as fast or whatever.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I don't know. I like the biggest thing is the like, there's a common sense aspect to it where developers should know whether or not they've crossed the line. And I think that for the most part, developers are figuring that out. Like there's still some people who go too far or whatever, but for the most part, I don't have a problem with what a lot of studios are doing, from what I know. And I think that like that just goes with like the practice, maturing and everything, and gamers speaking out on what they're okay with and what they're not okay with, which apparently like gamers just aren't okay with spending money. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's because
it's a vocal minority, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, simply that stereotypically, so again, vocal minority, most people don't want to spend more money than what they have to because they feel like they are entitled to everything. I spent this much already. Why should I have to spend more? And it's like, well, because you're only spending that much already.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, realistically, like if the price of games kept up with the cost of game development, then we would be spending like $150 on a single game, which would be absolutely ludicrous. But
yeah, I mean, I think like I understand people's hesitation with microtransactions and stuff, and like DLC even, because it is a weird phenomenon in terms of buying stuff, where like usually it's like, okay, you buy a thing and like you have all of it, but then like now because of games are as a service, like more stuff is added. It feels bad if you don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. Because it feels like, hey, like I bought this thing, why do I not get this new thing that comes with it? Like when you buy a movie, it's not like, you have to buy the
Chapter
ending.
2, yeah.
Like you don't get like the first hour, and then it's like, well, did you like that? You should see what comes next.
We'll be done with it in 3 months. Come back then and pay us more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I get the hesitations, but like that's why we do these podcasts where we want to inform people of things and like increase their knowledge. So it's like trust us that like maybe not, I don't know, I'm not gonna say like everyone, but like, so for most developers, and I don't want to say like everyone, and I like maybe even like most is pretty out there, but like they're not trying to screw you over. They're not trying to like nickel and dime you. Like if microtransactions are there, it's usually to help everyone as a whole. And the point of that is that if, and my biggest example is like World of Tanks came out a few years ago, so this number's probably changed, but in order for them to be a profitable business, each of their players has to spend only a quarter, like a single 25-cent piece is all they need to make the game profitable. It's a free-to-play game and everything like that. Obviously, they make more than that because there are certain whales, like I think like 10% of the population or whatever, pays for literally everyone because they enjoy the game enough that they want to spend that money.
Sure.
So and then basically the other players are free to play, and like they're kind of like bottom feeders in a way, but they're there to fill the world for the people that really enjoy the game.
Yeah.
And like it's an ecosystem that AAA titles that are $60 are still trying to like figure out how to work in, and they're doing a better job of it as time goes on.
Yeah.
And like it's for the community. It's for themselves, obviously, like they want to make the money, but they also want to continue supporting their game, and that's why they do it. Yeah.
And I mean, again, I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse. Like, just game development is expensive. I mean, like most people are like, $60 is a lot of money, but realistically, when you're talking about a studio that has all that power draw and everything, coming into all these high-end computers that they use to make the game that you love, like, I wouldn't be surprised if like a average size studio of like 300, 400, 500 people, something like that, like I wouldn't be surprised if someone told me, hey, you know, it costs like $10 million a month to run this place because of salary and utilities and, you know, keeping the snacks stocked up and all that kind of stuff. So,
and and for, for comparison's sake, a movie costs, like a big action movie, I think like The Mummy was like $120 or something, $120 million to make. Like a game studio like you just described is doing that in a year, and it, like game development is at least 2 years for a game, at least. Sometimes
and that's if you have like an existing engine on an existing franchise, like
so like it's expensive, and so like, and I mean like really $60 is cheap for the amount of entertainment that you get. Where like, you know, for a movie you either go to the movie theater for like $10 for a ticket, or like sometimes now they're like $13 or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
just
they're expensive, but
just be happy that we get games, and like don't spend money on things that you don't want to spend money on.
Yeah.
But like, and like obviously if someone like comes out with like, you know, super ridiculous microtransactions, call them out on it. Teach them, like, if a studio give a studio a chance to respond. Like Gears of War, the Coalition Gears of War 4, the Coalition got a lot of flack for their microtransaction system at the beginning because it was very stingy. And then, like, you know, within 2 months they fixed it, and now people are a lot more happy with it. Yeah. They still have some duplicate problems, but they're working on it.
Yeah. And, I mean, I feel like, again, one of the most important things is, like, you as a gamer are not entitled to anything, really, to be perfectly honest. Because, I mean, I feel like a lot of us kind of grew up where good games came out infrequently enough that we all owned all the good ones. You know, like they were spaced out far enough apart, and they were far and few between. Whereas now it's like there are a couple of good games that come out like every month.
Yeah.
So I feel like most people are like, you know, I can't budget for this. Well, you don't have to play everything either. You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I see what you're saying. That was a weird way of putting it, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, well,
like with.
I mean, I also could just be really wrong, because I mean, for all I know, maybe somebody who grew up on Atari and everything like was having the same problem with Sega. I don't know. But
yeah, all right.
I didn't feel like I had that issue with my Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo and everything. So
yeah. Anyway. I think that about covers it. Like, this is a topic that I think you and I could talk about for just hours and hours and hours, and yeah.
Go in circles about 12 times, and then...
What? Us going in circles?
Yeah.
You crazy, Ben. You crazy. All right. We're gonna wrap this one up.
Yep.
We have another podcast to record, and my voice is struggling.
Slowly dying. So am I.
Ben's just dying. It's not his voice, it's just him.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's doing his best to get through as many podcasts as he can before he just keels over. He's doing it for you guys. 1 like equals 1 hour of life for Ben. If you guys give enough likes, then he'll live forever.
Yeah. Let's try and get this video to 500 likes. I believe you guys can do it.
Do it for him quickly. And if Ben doesn't make it, I will see you guys next time on Split Couch Games. If Ben does make it, we'll see you next time on Split Couch Games.
Bye.